What up, guys? Today is the day for my very first official video. As you can see, I'm super excited, super stoked about this. So let's cut to the chase, shall we? What up, it's the Patch. So today we're gonna be talking about something retro, guys. You know, something adored by fans everywhere. I'm talking about the whole world. I ain't talking about Dragon Ball Z. I'm talking about Hadouken, Street Fighter. This right here. Alright guys, so before I start the video, I want to let you guys know about what's coming in these following days. During the making of this video, I decided to split the history into 7 parts, since the history of Street Fighter is quite long, and I won't be able to cover it all in one video. So each part I will talk about a different Street Fighter game in chronological order. Also, I want to give credit and thanks to YouTubers Necris for the 8-bit music earlier in the previous clip, Let's 8-bit for the Mega Man stage start theme for my intro, and to World of Long Plays for the Street Fighter Alpha 2 gameplay in the background. Alright, so now that I got that out of the way, let's begin and get to the history of this beloved franchise. Today we'll be talking about the very first Street Fighter, the very first fighting game Capcom ever made, and the very first in the franchise. While it did not achieve the same worldwide popularity as its sequel, Street Fighter II, the one we all know and love, the original Street Fighter introduced some of the conventions made standard in later games, such as the 6-button controls and the use of command-based special techniques. Now, the game was produced and directed by Takashi Nishiyama and planned by Hiroshi Matsumoto, who both previously worked on the overhead beat-em-up Avengers. And no, we're not talking about Marvel's Avengers. This is basically Capcom's Avengers, except that it's not superheroes. Now, the two men would leave Capcom after the production of the game, and were employed by SNK, developing most of their fighting game series including Fatal Fury and Art of Fighting. Then the duo would later work for Dimps, and would later return for Street Fighter IV. So now I'm going to talk about the 2 different arcade cabinets that they made for the game. So, there were 2 different arcade cabinets made and sold for the game. One was a regular version, which was sold as a tabletop cabinet in Japan. Yeah, Japan. You know. Which featured the same 6-button configuration later used in Street Fighter II, and then the second version was a deluxe cabinet that featured 2 pressure-sensitive rubber pads. Now, the pressure-sensitive pads would determine the strength and speed of the player's attacks based on how hard they were pressed. So you would basically have to press super hard on the buttons and the pads, basically, to make the attacks come out stronger. Now, if you guys want to check this out for yourselves, I'm going to put up a picture right up here in the video so you guys can see for yourselves. Yeah, I mean, at first it looks kind of weird, and I don't know, for me it looks kind of cool. I like it. For those that don't know, video games back then that got super popular would always get a port and somehow make it to a home console, one way or the other. And they did just that with Street Fighter. Now, the game was ported under the title Fighting Street. You heard me, Fighting Street. Now, it was ported under that title in 1988, while the original arcade version came out in 87. Now, the 88 version came out for the PC Engine CD-ROM in Japan, and in 89 for what we all know as the TurboGrafx CD in North America. Man, that title, Fighting Street. I swear Capcom was smoking weed. What the hell were they thinking? Anyway, this version features an arranged soundtrack, and guys, let me tell you, the soundtrack for this version is over 9,000 times better than the original arcade version. The arcade sounds like shit, honestly, but hey, technology back then had its limits. Now, as there was no 6-button controller for the TurboGrafx CD at the time this version was released, the strength level of the attacks is determined by how long either of the action buttons are held, so it's not that pressure pad bullshit anymore. Now, this version was published by NEC Avenue in North America and Hudson Soft in Japan, and was developed by Alpha System. Now, Hudson Soft is known for some awesome games that they'd done back in the NES era. The cover artwork featured Mount Rushmore, which you guys saw a few minutes ago, which was one of the locations in the game. Now, this version was released for the Wii's Virtual Console in Japan on October 6, 2009, November 2, 2009 in North America, and in the PAL regions on November 6, 2009. Also, plenty of versions of Street Fighter were released for the Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum, Amstrad CPC, DOS, Amiga, and Atari ST by US Gold,
in 1988 in Europe. Now, these ports were developed by Tiertex. The Commodore 64 actually got 2 versions that were released on the same tape/disc format. If you guys don't know what's a Commodore 64, search it up. It's pretty interesting. It's impressive. I actually love the damn thing. Now, the NTSC version, which is the US version, was developed by Pacific Data Works and published by Capcom USA. And the PAL version, which is the UK version, by Tiertex, and it was gold. Shortly afterward, Tiertex developed its own unofficial sequel titled Human Killing Machine. Yeah. Doesn't even sound appropriate for a Street Fighter sequel of any kind. Anyways, since this was entirely unrelated to the subsequent official sequel, or indeed any other game in the series, this edition of Street Fighter was featured in 2 compilations, Arcade Muscle and Multi-Mix 3, both of which featured other US Gold published ports of Capcom games such as Bionic Commando and 1943 The Battle of Midway, both great classic old school games. Now, High-Tech Expressions ported the game to MS-DOS computers. They also did that. Yay, another fucking port! High-Tech also re-released the game as part of the Street Fighter series CD-ROM collection. Now, if you guys want to check this out, you guys can check it out for yourselves. There was an emulation of the original arcade version featured in Capcom Arcade Hits Volume 1, along with Street Fighter II Champion Edition for Windows. One for Capcom Classics Collection Remix for the PSP, PlayStation Portable, and Capcom Classics Collection Volume 2, along with Super Street Fighter II Turbo for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox.
Alright guys, so this is the ending of part 1 of my Street Fighter history. Before I close off the video for good, I just want to, see a few things before I close off the video. Alright, so you guys remember my introduction video where I said that I was going to upload the video either tonight or the next day? Well, I just want to say that I couldn't upload the video either one of those days, because on that tonight, I couldn't, and when I said tomorrow, well, that tomorrow I couldn't, which was yesterday, I had a friend who had a birthday, so I couldn't do much, really. I couldn't do much there, so I was with her the whole day, and so yeah, so I guess I couldn't do much there. And then I realized earlier that doing these videos takes a lot of time. It almost took me 3 days. Or it almost took me 3 days to do these videos. And these videos usually take a lot of time to edit. Like, while I edit them and make them look good, I'm just trying my best out here with these videos. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you watched it all. I hope I didn't waste your time or anything. So whenever you can, guys, like, subscribe, and share if you want, guys. I would gladly appreciate it. I would love it. So we got lots to cover, that's for sure. We got a lot to cover. So yeah, 6 parts. This is just the first part. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Piece of cake. Alright, so we'll see you guys in part 2 next Sunday, maybe. Okay, I forgot, now that I'm mentioning Sunday, I'm having a schedule. Not every Sunday, but one Sunday in particular, I will have a new video out. So one Sunday, yes, and the other Sunday, no. So this Sunday, yes, and the next Sunday there won't be a video. And then the cycle goes on. So I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to tell you guys here. So that's how my YouTube schedule is gonna be for uploading videos. So guys, I'll see you guys not next Sunday, but the other Sunday on part 2